And then you touched on sort of personalization. So how is AI changing the way we approach personalization in user experience?
You know, there's a couple of ways to think about it, and I'm going to start with a very simplistic analogy, and that's that from a modeling side, you're trying to build the DNA of a user, and you can do that in a couple of ways. You can look at the breadth of things that they've watched or purchased or considered purchasing, and you need a big time span to do that. Let's say you have the ideal user for your commercial app, your CPG app, and they come once a week and they buy 3 things. And you might
Mhm.
say, hey, for my recommendation models, what I'm finding is building the perfect DNA for a user to build better recommendations means I need 6 months of that. What Gen AI does is it allows us to look at each of those objects you bought in, say, like the last 2 weeks. And rather than scale horizontally through time to get that DNA, we can start scaling vertically and really making, multi-dimensional understandings of those things you're buying so that we can get to a complete DNA picture faster. So the training data shrinks, the relevance of the things you're buying to your new recommendations grows. And that's all being driven, in an ideal space with no friction by Gen AI. I can pass the items that you're buying into Gen AI, look for different ways of embedding them, whether it's images or descriptions or critiques or tell me about a movie that this thing was in, etc. We're building these latent dimensions that you might not even realize exist to increase that thumbprint. And so I think from a UX perspective or from a user experience perspective, recommendations and personalization are going to get significantly better if we think about it in those terms. Now, the caveat to that we always have to keep in mind is that, Netflix, as much as it loves you and wants you to watch the things you love, it is also not a charity, right? They have obligations to the folks they license content from. They have obligations to their own in-house production. And so sometimes those recommendations get, they have to go through that lens of business. So it'll be interesting to see the ways in which we balance that like utopian promise of pure Gen AI powered recommendations against against different business models that want to promote content. They want you to buy this, this pencil sharpener instead of this pencil sharpener, or they want you to buy this phone instead of this phone, even though the phone they're going to deprioritize is the best, most relevant recommendation to you. I think that's what's going to be fascinating to watch play out. And if we're thinking about your classic user experience, researchers or designers or engineers, that's the space where their eyes are really going to be, is how do we balance the business obligations to that pure user advocacy experience.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's personalization. I think you've had that. I think this automation's just streamlined everything so much quicker now, isn't it? And it's just
Yeah.
it's just speeding things up. So it's getting more knowledge. It's a lot of brain, isn't it? It's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Understanding the users better.